Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to downtown Indianapolis, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the home of the Indiana Pacers. Today it serves as the home of the Crossroads Classic, the 11th and for the moment final Crossroads Classic, as Purdue takes on Butler in a game that will tip off shortly after high noon here in the Eastern Time Zone. I'm Rob Blackman, the voice of the Boilermakers. Chris Forman alongside. Chris handles all things sports information department-wise when it comes to Purdue men's basketball. And we thank you for joining us, no matter how you might have found us today, maybe on Twitter, on YouTube, or Facebook. No matter how you found us, thanks for doing so. And we have a lot to talk about here, Chris, beginning with the final Crossroads Classic. To that I say boo.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob. This is a great event for the state of Indiana. You bring in the 4 premier college basketball teams in one spot the weekend before Christmas. I'm going to miss this event. I know we haven't had a lot of success in it in the past, but it truly is one of the best sporting events in the state of Indiana.
And the great irony, Chris mentioned Purdue's lack of success. Purdue in this event is 3-7 all time, by far the worst record of the 4 teams that compete in this, 3-7. Yet it's Purdue who's banging the drum, no pun intended, to keep this event going.
Yeah, we've actually, we've reached out to other teams to try and get it going. There's been some other teams that are not interested in continuing it, so hopefully in the next year, 2 years, we can figure out a solution to keep this event going here in Indianapolis.
Well, we do know this, we're playing a Butler team that is 7-3 on the season. However, in this particular event, Butler has had a ton of success. Exactly the opposite end of the spectrum of Purdue in this event. In this particular event, the Crossroads Classic, Butler against top 10 ranked teams. So they come into this event playing a team ranked in the top 10, either IU or Purdue. Butler is 3-0 against top 10 ranked teams in this event. Purdue comes in at number 3 this week, Chris. That makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, it is. They've had great success in this event. They beat number 1 Indiana probably 8 years ago. They beat us when we were number 9 in the country. So they'll come in, a lot of expectations, a lot of confidence. They've had a lot of success here, so Purdue's going to have to play very well to beat them.
All-time, Butler is 6-4 in this event. The last time these two teams played 2 years ago here at, well, what then wasn't called the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but regardless, it was a Butler victory. Again, that was 2 seasons ago. Last year, Purdue beat Notre Dame in this event. No fans in the building. We'll see how it shakes out this year with fans being back allowed here in the building. It's a busy weekend, by the way, in downtown Indianapolis, fans. After our game, it'll be IU against Notre Dame, and then at 8:30 tonight, just a stone's throw from here, the Indianapolis Colts are playing a Saturday night primetime game against the New England Patriots. So it's a busy time. Chris and I taking time out of our mornings. We could be downtown Christmas shopping, but we're here to talk Purdue basketball with you.
You're not done shopping?
Last week split their 2 games, losing at Rutgers on a buzzer beater, and then a comeback for the ages in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center to beat North Carolina State, a game in which the Boilermakers rallied to tie the game and then won in overtime 82-72. If there was a common denominator, Chris, from last week's 2 games, Purdue did not shoot the ball well, which is an outlier because Purdue had been shooting the ball very well all season.
Yeah, we didn't shoot the ball well from 3 at all. If you look at the North Carolina State game, we actually shot 50% from the field.
Yeah.
They shot about 60% in second half and overtime. So they did turn it on after the break. But Coach Painter always stresses, who are we when the shots don't fall? And that showed a little bit last week. We need to tighten up on defense, take care of the ball, and do the things to be successful to win the game.
Here are the numbers from last week's 2 games. Against North Carolina State, Purdue shot 24% from 3. Against Rutgers, 27% from 3. Remember, this is a Purdue team that had been in the mid-40s most of the season, percentage-wise, from the 3-point line. I asked Coach Painter this for our radio pregame show. I'll get your thoughts on it, Chris. Do you truly think those were outliers as I described it earlier, or could this be a disturbing trend for our ball club?
I wouldn't say it's an outlier, but I think you're coming back a little bit. Like, there was no way you were going to shoot 44% from 3 for the year.
Right.
I'm not sure what the NCAA record is, but it'd probably be right around that.
Yeah.
So if you can shoot around 39, 40% for the year, that's probably a good number. So we reverted back a little bit, but I'm hopeful you can kind of level it out again starting today.
Think about this. Last year, Purdue was 33% as a team from the three-point line. So Purdue's been much better, at least through the first 10 games of this season. What about going into last week's games with Rutgers and North Carolina State being the #1 ranked team in the nation for the first time ever in Purdue's history? I felt like, at least early in the Rutgers game, maybe there were some nerves. I don't know if it had to do with being ranked #1. I don't know if it was the first game on the road all season, a true road game. I don't know what it was, Chris, but it appeared to me some of our guys, not all, but some of them, maybe a little unsure themselves early in that Rutgers game.
I felt the Iowa game before that, when we knew if we won, we'd be #1.
Yes.
And then the Rutgers game, I felt we played a little bit tighter. Like there was just a weight on our shoulders of being #1 or getting to #1. And when you've never been there, obviously it's a great accomplishment, and guys, something that we want as a program. So when you play with those expectations, you're bound to maybe push a little and stress out a little bit. I felt the practices that we had after the Rutgers game before North Carolina State were great. Like Friday, Saturday, we were really loose. We were having a lot of fun. Then we came out Sunday and didn't play that great. But, hopefully the weight is lifted and we can get back to playing Purdue basketball.
Well, a couple of the guys that did not seem phased by ranking or road game or atmosphere were Jaden Ivey and Travion Williams. You look at the numbers of those two guys last week. Travion, for example, 21 and 11 against Rutgers. Wasn't quite enough, but he still had a monster game. And then how about his numbers against North Carolina State? 22 and 12, plus 9 assists and 4 blocks.
And 2 steals. And those are numbers that no college basketball player has done in the last 15 years in a single game. So Travion was just an absolute man. He put his team on his shoulders in the second half and overtime at NC State, and basically, in my opinion, carried us to the victory.
You look at Jaden Ivey, 22.7 rebounds against North Carolina State. He was his brilliant self, as we thought he might be. One thing I'm seeing with our ball club, Chris, when that ball is in Jaden Ivey's hands in transition, we're pretty dangerous on the offensive end.
Yeah, you've got to be ready when Jaden's running the show and bringing the ball up the court in transition, because he is an electric player. He will make plays. He will find you. You just got to be ready to shoot, or ready to rebound and miss, or just make the play when in transition when Jaden's running it.
Yeah, good point. You better be ready for the ball, because he might throw it to you when you least expect it. He's been very good about that this year.
The thing about Jaden, too, in our bigger games, he has performed.
Yes.
Big time. There was a lot of scouts at the game last week, and playing at the Barclays Center where the Brooklyn Nets play, probably wanted to put on a show, and he did.
Also want to talk about, going back to that Sunday victory against North Carolina State, the play of Purdue's senior class. We've already talked about Travion Williams, but Eric Hunter and Sasha Stefanovic, in the last 5 minutes of regulation and then in the overtime period, they played like seniors. I mean, they stepped up to the plate and they were huge for Purdue.
Sasha, I think in the post-game press conference, told people that starting the second half and midway through the second half that he told himself, I need to wake up. And he did. He had the big runner to force overtime, hit 2 big late three-pointers, 1 in regulation, 1 in overtime. Really made some big plays down the stretch. And Eric, what can you say about him? His defense was outstanding. Yeah. Made a couple really big steals late in the game. One that led to the Travion tip dunk. He really came to play in the overtime session.
I'll tell you, the thing about Sasha, with about maybe 7 minutes to go in the game, we actually mentioned on the radio, Sasha Stefanovic hasn't scored a single point. Literally saying, what's wrong with Sasha? Well, nothing was wrong with Sasha. He finished with 12 points. Imagine that. He had scored 0 at the 5-minute mark of regulation. Finishes regulation and overtime with 12 points. He was huge. All right, a couple final notes here before we say so long and get ready for the 12 o'clock tip-off today with Purdue and Butler. Purdue playing Butler today, obviously. Quick turnaround Monday night, Incarnate Word at home. Then a 9-day stretch where Purdue will be off from games. Play on the 29th against Nicholls State, and then it's right back into Big Ten competition. So Purdue's wrapping up the tail end of non-conference play here. As you look ahead, and we're allowed to do this, we're not coaches or players, we get to look ahead. As we look ahead to January 3rd in Wisconsin and the rest of that Big Ten schedule, the balance of the Big Ten schedule. For Purdue to be a Big Ten champion, Purdue has to do what?
Take care of the ball, improve on the defensive end. I think the defensive end has been shaky at times.
Yes.
We're not a terrible defensive team, and I think we should be a very good defensive team when you look at the athletes that we have out there. but we just got to tighten it up some, make teams beat us. Don't let Purdue beat Purdue.
Here's what you need to know, fans. 12 o'clock for the broadcast today. If you're watching on television, Fox is carrying the game, 12 noon. If you want to listen to the Purdue Radio Network, I greatly appreciate that. Myself and Bobby Bucket Trudell will be on the call with our pregame show underway leading up to the 12 o'clock tip-off. And then we're back at it Monday, back at Mackey Arena, final game before Christmas. Purdue with a Monday night 7 o'clock game against former Boilermaker Carson Cunningham and Incarnate Word. Big thank you to all the folks that helped us behind the scenes today, including Hunter, the man behind the camera, my broadcast partner, Chris Forman. I'm Rob Blackman. Thank you so much, and enjoy the Crossroads Classic, everyone.